Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on Russian information manipulation and interference. There are already quite some people, and I believe that there are more people joining afterwards. So we can maybe wait for a bit before we start. At the end, we will have a Q&A session. If you want to, you can also ask questions during the presentations by clicking on the chat or the Q&A, and we will see the questions coming in. Also, you are being muted and the video is turned off, but if you want to, we can also turn the camera on and microphone, so you can at the end join with present yourself and also pose your question. That way it could be nice, so we can have some conversation at the end also. So today we will have a presentation of Fatih Yilmaz, who has been coordinating the INNOVADE project. The INNOVADE wants to strengthen the society and digital democracy, and Fatih has also done research on foreign information manipulation and interference in this project. So he will tell insights and share the insights from the project in this webinar. And after Fatih's presentation, then I will continue with materials that we have collected and created in INFODEMIC project, with which we want to inform citizens of all different backgrounds and ages and anybody who has interest in this topic. The materials are quite easy to understand and simple, but we think that they can be useful for discussing this topic with diverse audiences. So Fatih, if you are ready, you can maybe share your presentation and slowly start.
Okay, thank you, Elina. So good afternoon, everyone. Just, I need to share my screen. So I hope it is visible. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks for the invitation, first of all. So the topic is foreign interferences, foreign information manipulation and interferences, and I would like to present my research result as part of INNOVADE project. So I cannot name myself as a FIMI expert, but just so as a part of this project, we spent some time researching different FIMI actions for the last 5 years. So it might be interesting to see those results. First of all, to understand how FIMI can impact our societies, our democracies, before getting into how we can strengthen our society. So try to understand first the impacts, then we can talk about strengthening our societies. First of all, in a nutshell, about INNOVADE project, its name is Innovative Democracy Through Digitalization. So the INNOVADE project develops innovative tools for civic participation, ensuring transparency, accessibility, and legal compliance. As a part of digital democracy, FIMI, disinformation is one of the key challenges nowadays. So we need to have also secure digital tools, which can also detect or protect our society, citizens against FIMI. So that is one of the key research tasks of the project. As a part of this research, we developed a chapter focusing on FIMI as part of interdisciplinary knowledge base report on digital democracy. So you can download and read the full report through scanning this QR code on the slide. So within this research, we analyzed different interference activities in the last 5 years and try to understand their impact on our digital democracies. We also try to define it as well. We applied our new analytical framework to understand this impact. And we collected a data set of more than 100 FIMI cases from Europe and beyond. And this data set is also published, and it is the link is available on the report. So first I would like to start where this concept FIMI comes from. I think it was 2023 when it was coined and announced. It was by Joseph Borrell, the High Representative of European External Action Service. Launching this report on FIMI for the last 4 years, I think as of 23, EAS is publishing a report on FIMI and sharing it with the general public. I was also there at the EAS during the launch event, and I remember that he was in the opening speech, he gave an analogy saying disinformation is like a bullet aimed at our societies. So the cognitive domain of our people, citizens, and having an impact on how they think. And also this aiming to destabilize our societies, our democracy. Of course, since it's a bullet, there's a gun, and also there's someone or actors behind that gun. So we need to take actions, responses to protect our societies. It can be a good example to understand FIMI. It comes, I think it comes from the need of defining this behavior before defining the responsive measures. And that's why EAS came up with this concept at the beginning of 2020s. So maybe this is the official definition of EAS. So of course, when we are talking about FIMI, first thing it comes to our mind is disinformation. But it is not only disinformation; it is some beyond disinformation. It covers disinformation, but it can have all kind of behaviors. They call it the non-illegal pattern of behaviors, threatening our values, our political processes, so manipulating our information domain, and these are conducted in an intentional and coordinated manner. And by different actors, including state and non-state actors, and also including proxies. And FIMI actions are mostly executed in a legal gray zone, so you cannot define them so illegal. So you cannot just say that these are illegal actions, but they are mostly characterized by their intentional, manipulative, and covert nature. Mostly they have different aims, like coming from geopolitical rivalry, also using digital media systems, and one of the main goals is using the fragility of our democracies. Within our project, we looked at, as I said, different activities during the last 5 years, and we clustered all those FIMI actions under 4 different clusters. I would like to shortly explain these 4 clusters. The first cluster focuses on the content of the information. So this is mostly disinformation, I can say. So how the content itself, which means fabricating new fake content or alteration or changing the digital content, like different text, images, audio, video, and intentionally deceive and mislead audiences through them. This is the first cluster. Second cluster focuses on the technology. So rather than the narrative, so using different cyber tools like hacking, data leaks, so accessing, altering, disrupting digital information and platforms. So this is more technical intrusion and disruption. So it's so something different than changing the narrative, but focusing on the technology. Third one is focusing on manipulating the social media algorithms. So having inauthentic users' accounts and artificially amplifying or suppressing content and opinions. So you see, these are all 3 different versions of FIMI, but we also have a 4th one, which is not a different, but a combination of all these 3 different tactics. So these are mostly large operations using different tactics, FIMI tactics, and aiming to influence society's perceptions, creating confusion, and also exploiting emotional and societal vulnerabilities of our societies. So after defining all these 4 clusters, so we looked at our cases, 109 different cases of FIMI. But we collected all these from different open source reports, materials. But EES, European External Action Service reports has many of them. Actually, we cannot get access to those cases, but you can see the analysis of those cases. If I remember correctly, the first report, they had around 100 cases, analyzed 100 cases. In the second one, it was more than 700, and third and fourth, 500 cases in total. But so for analyzing in the analysis of our research, we could find around more than 100 cases, and we went through them deep to discover the impact. Looking more close to our cases, so almost half of the cases were from Russia, 15% from China, and 17% so other from different countries, and 13% was anonymous or non-attributed cases. And when we look at how they are distributed among different tactics, you see, so most of them, 90% of them had disinformation as a tactic. 12 as a small part was cyber enabled operations. So it is also logical that cyber operations needs more sophisticated tools or skills. Then around 40% had social media and platform exploitation, and also 40% also had digital psychological operations. If you look at the cases through the years, you see in almost all clusters an increase, but far most we see an increase in the disinformation cluster. So you see also as of the 2021-22 with the use of AI, more by public, so there's a more increase we can see in mostly in the disinformation clusters, which is also logical. So coming to the impact on our digital democracies, so we used this three-level of information processing of digital democracy. So as you already know, democracy in a term needs an free, fair information space that all citizens can get informed in a free way and also make their decisions freely. When we look at this domain, information space, we see three different steps of information processed. First one is political information. So informing citizens about different political ideas. So you can say anything. Second one is political communication. So after getting informed, citizens can communicate between each other to make their own opinions, their own choices. And then the last step is political co-production. So then it comes to making decisions, so vote, so that's the most simple one, or come together to have political parties or implement the different policies. So this is the political co-production level of democracy. So we looked at each of these levels, how FIMI had impacted these three levels. So as you see, we put them in a heat map. Most of the tactical clusters was, as you already know, in the disinformation domain, and the impact on these three different levels, we see more on the information step, the first step. So there are most of the FIMI activities are happening in the first step and aiming to confuse our societies. So that means maybe we need to have more actions on this side. So there are many different cases, but so in the information domain, just go quickly our matrix, the impact matrix. So FIMI injects falsehoods into the information space, hindering access to accurate information. So also using algorithmic manipulation, creating information overload. These can also polarize online discussions, reduces trust, and generates fear among our citizens. In the communication line, it can have an impact, different impacts. Again, amplifying polarizing topics via bots, fake engagement, also can shift narratives in agenda setting. In the production phase, it can have an impact on our voting. So trust trust in political parties, or so it can also sway sway the election results, impact on citizens voting and make decisions. Of course, we cannot prove by research how this happens, but it can have impact on people's choices. So at all three levels, FIMI can have different goals and impacts. There are different cases. I think, Elina, you will also present some of them. Maybe I can also show some most outstanding ones. Operation Matryoshka, which is a pro-Russian information campaign, using different narratives, like Ukraine, targeting Ukraine, depicting Zelensky as a war criminal, or also targeting Ukrainian asylum seekers in Europe at that time, imitating media outlets. So they generated new websites imitating them, and also disseminated them massively on social media. Or doppelganger operations in Polish presidential elections. So there were many bot accounts disseminating posts on social media, and using articles from different Polish publications, so shared by mostly inauthentic accounts. So I will not go in detail about different cases, but of course there have been different countermeasures at different levels, EU level. So now European Democracy Shield is in place. The national level, so different France, Germany, we see different actions. At the local level also, we see different partnerships with local municipalities, increased cybersecurity measures. But I would like to more focus on linking it with immunity infodemic. So we came up with different recommendations as a part of this research to build digital democracy tools. But the most important one, as we see, is strengthening the local level defenses as democratic front lines. So strengthening our societies is really key. Of course, adjusting our regulations, putting more rules, regulations on social media platforms. These are also really important, but as a civil society, we need to also focus on strengthening our local level defenses. Well, one other thing I would like to mention is this is the maybe we focused too much on FIMI in the last couple of years, and focused on foreign actors, but we shouldn't forget about the internal actors as well. So they have also different internal actors interfering in our digital or democracies. So the new concept used is the most domestic information manipulation and interference, which is DIMI, is an acronym. So we need to consider this as well, and maybe this might be the next step to further immunity epidemic project. So I stop here, Elina. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I will just share my screen. You see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Fatih, for the presentation. So I will now talk a bit about what we did in INFODEMIC to strengthen citizens against Russian manipulation and interference. So our focus was really in citizens themselves. We organized events in Belgium, Netherlands, Finland, and Germany. And in total, we have reached over 2,000 people in INFODEMIC, and indirectly a lot more online. Our purpose was to give citizens tools so that they can start fact-checking themselves and that they have more resilience against disinformation, that they know how to protect themselves. And in the module that we created on Russian actions, we want to specifically focus on these disinformation campaigns that Fatih was talking about. So he already told you a lot about FIMI, but I wanted to drop this question here just to make us all reflect a bit about how we receive information that touch our lives and how you choose the information that you get, or does the information find you? Because this makes a big difference. We 2 weeks ago, we had a webinar with Markus, who was talking about AI and thinking of digital democracy and algorithms in social media and how this informed is brought to us. There is a big difference if we are looking for information ourselves or if we just trust how someone else is thinking for us and what we get served. We also did a survey in I2I2 asking citizens about their media consumption habits, and we actually saw that a really large percentage of the people received their news passively. So they did not search specifically information on news websites or printed news or any kind of these kind of trusted outlets, but they received news passively through social media. So that's a good question to think for us all. Then what comes to awareness on FIMI, we also noticed in a survey that not a lot of people thought that there could be a manipulative motive behind the posts that we see. So at the same time, a lot of people receive passively news, but then they are not aware of why they get to see this, the algorithmic amplification, or how it is meant for them to impact their opinions, and that somebody with malicious intent might be benefiting from it and purposefully trying to change their mind to a certain direction. So this is definitely a vulnerability if people are not aware of it. So there is a 5D model published by Disinfo EU to shortly present some of the tactics that are being used for FIMI. And these I'm presenting it, maybe there is some overlap with what Fatih said, but it's easy to remember. So it has to do with distracting, shifting attention over from real issue by pointing attention to somewhere else. This has been used, for instance, with changing the discussion around refugees from Ukraine. There was this fake story about bedbugs in Paris under the Olympics, and it was found out that the source for this was from Russia. And the story even went so that the refugees from Ukraine would bring the bedbugs with them. So it was trying to distract the attention from helping the refugees to actually turning towards more negative attitudes towards them. Another D is dismissing, waving off allegations and attacking the credibility of the source. An example of this could be slaps against journalists that are writing about disinformation campaigns and showing them, and they are being attacked and harassed. Then maybe also being dismissed could be also, so they can be painted as that they are somehow untrustworthy, that they are unethical. So this could also be a way of discrediting them and taking away the weight of what they are saying. Then the third one is divide and demoralize, fueling conflicts. This is done a lot also with the help of internal actors, like Fatih was saying. Sometimes these narratives are taken over by internal actors who then start fighting with each other, maybe unaware of that the original story is done by Russians or by bots that are meant for creating these conflicts between people. And sometimes there is, for instance, a story from far right side making a certain point, and then the next point is made by far left side reacting to that. And both are not authentic comments, but people who read that might confuse it to authentic content, and then they start reacting to it themselves. The fourth one is distorting, twisting facts, and reframing the narrative to fit the disinformation agenda. And the fifth one is dismaying, so spreading fear and intimidation to silence or weaken opponents, like political opponents, for instance. Again, they might be made look like they are corrupt and untrustworthy, or just be threatened. So a short word about how and why Russia uses FIMI. In our training materials, we focused on three main topics. We focused on ideological warfare, interference in elections, and information overload. And I want to start with Russian ideological warfare first. So it has to do with promoting this idea of Russian world. So Russia is portrayed as the guardian of traditional values like family and religion, and the West is shown to be opposite to this. And there is an attempt to unite Russian-speaking people across borders. So after the Soviet Union dissolved in 1991, Russia had the need to maintain influence over Russian-speaking populations. So they tried to kind of keep control over the millions of Russian speakers that are outside of its borders. They also portrayed West as morally corrupt and hostile, and blame Western democracies for imposing destructive values, as they call it, and social chaos. They use this narrative, the protection of Russian speakers, as an excuse for aggressive and military actions, like annexation of Crimea and military intervention in Ukraine. And this concept of Russian world is a tool for Russia to expand its influence and justify its actions in the neighboring countries by saying that they are defending the language and the culture and the conservative values. The second point that we wanted to discuss was interference in elections. So this is directly linked with spreading the ideology of Russian world and expansion and dominance, but then not necessarily by attacking and by military means, but through by influencing the internal matters of the country. So by doing this, they can avoid direct military conflict that they might not be able to deal with then they can undermine trust in democratic institutions. They can exert influence over international opinion and elections. And they use double communication, so they come across as adherent rules, but at the same time, they break the rules behind the others' backs. I wanted to add a short note of the financial aspects because social media platforms have a role in spreading disinformation, like Fatih was also mentioning in his presentation. So the structure of social media platforms is designed to maximize user engagement, and FIMI and the platforms, they kind of have common interest and they support each other, maybe unconsciously, but there is benefit for both, because the people are mostly engaged if there is content that is viral, provocative, and emotionally very charged. Especially when these emotions are negative, people tend to stay longer on the platforms. And this is good for the platforms. The longer people spend on the platforms, the more the platforms get money from data that they can collect and advertisement revenues. The content that spreads is often more engaging, and it is more financially interesting for the platforms. And on the other hand, the actors who are seeking to spread their content, and the more it is seen and the more it is shared, the more revenues they get from the content that they share. So there is a financial benefit for people who create shocking and polarizing posts, and even nobody cares if it's true or not. It is not being verified by the platforms. The only thing that the platforms expect is that they hope that the content is viral, and the algorithms even amplify this content more than other content. So the profit motive works hand in hand. It is useful for the foreign actors, and it might or can inadvertently amplify disinformation, including FIMI. Then I have some real-world examples on disinformation campaigns, and specifically on showing these overload campaigns that Fatih was talking about. So he mentioned Portal Combat. We have an example of this from France. There was a coordinated network of 193 pro-Russian information portals. And this was revealed by French agency Viginum in February 24. TigerWeb, Creamy-based Russian company, played a major role in creation and administration of the Portal Combat network sites. And this network did not produce original content, but it recycled publications of pro-Russian actors and Russian news agencies. And the goal of this Portal Combat was to legitimize Russian war, that they called special military operation and not war. They wanted to discredit Ukraine and its leaders and polarize public debate and undermine French support for Ukraine. This has included selection of pro-Russian propaganda sources according to the local target group. We were just talking last week about, 2 weeks ago, about AI and how it may be used to also amplify micro-targeting. So it's even easier now than in 24 to define these local groups and find the interest and create campaigns that are specifically targeted for local context. So that is something that is at least not decreasing. The threat for that is just increasing over time. They also used large-scale automation to push and spread the same messages across many sites and platforms. this is something that creates digital astroturfing. So it looks like these ideas are really popular, that they are gaining attention on the grassroots level as well. So it is confusing for people to see that there is so much support for these ideas, and they might confuse it with real support. And also, the more reactions there are and the more these messages are reacted to and shared, the higher they come with algorithms. It also included optimizing the websites so that they show up more easily in search engine results. Then the second case that we had to do with a doppelganger campaign in Germany. This included hundreds of thousands of fake accounts, so bot accounts, that were designed to look like real users. They published millions of automated posts that attacked the German government and promoted pro-Russian narratives and demanded an end to support for Ukraine. So the posts were frequently linked with fabricated news articles, and these articles were hosted on cloned versions of real media outlets or entirely fake news portals, often accompanied by multimedia content such as image tiles and short videos. Then these cloned versions were really made to look like the actual real news websites with their logo copied. And the idea was to confuse people so that they would think that these were the real news sites. And they wanted to manipulate public opinion on these topics, undermine trust in Western governments and mainstream media, and support for Ukraine, while amplifying narratives that Russia supported. So the main techniques were creating fake copies of the news websites that people trusted already, and having this huge number of bot accounts of sharing these links to the fake news sites. They linked posts to fabricated articles, fake news portals, and short videos. And they did this in many languages. Germany was the main target, but similar campaigns were in other languages in other parts of Europe. And it was a massive and highly automated campaign. Then the third example is from Poland. It has to do with hacking the National Press Agency in May 2024, publishing a fake news story claiming the Prime Minister would mobilize 200,000 men for the war in Ukraine. And also, Warsaw reports about constantly identifying cyber attacks from Russia on targets including the water supply and the health service. So this goes under the cyber attacks and not just disinformation. The objective of these actions was to create fear, confusion, and distrust in the government, destabilize the political climate just ahead of European elections. And although I have to note, although these actions are concentrated under elections, there are often high peaks of bot accounts, for instance. There are other examples of this as well. They are not only taking place before elections, but also months ahead and long time ahead elections, slowly preparing the ground and changing people's opinions to certain direction and trying to have impact already long before the elections. And then also after elections, the disinformation campaigns, they aim to make ground for certain decisions. For instance, there are examples of trying to change public opinion on climate, to decrease the funds that there are for climate action, climate research, and try to slow down climate action and the change for green energy. And this is often also linked with Russian actions, Russian operations. And we will talk a bit more about this next week. But so impacting the elections, it is not only during the election time itself, but it goes before and after the elections as well. So techniques here were used for cyber intrusion to plant false information with rapid amplification on social media, and then high impact disinformation using a single dramatic fake design designed to spread quickly and undermine public trust. And the fourth and last example that I have is from this Pravfond Foundation that has been found in Bulgaria, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania in this case. So they aimed to provide financial assistance to Russian citizens abroad. So it was secretly financed pro-Kremlin influence activities in Bulgaria and other countries mentioned here, especially in the former Soviet states like Baltics. The main objective was to maintain and expand Russia's influence inside the EU by defending Kremlin-favored individuals, funding propaganda infrastructure in Europe, and awarding grants to spies, criminals, and often under the guise of legal defense. The techniques used in this case were using the pretext of helping Russians abroad to legitimize the influence, moving money via cash couriers, hidden accounts, digital currencies to evade detection. And they wanted to direct grants to strategic figures, such as spies, criminals, propagandists, to support Moscow's agenda. And they wanted to, by doing this, shape narratives subtly. So by funding websites and cultural projects that push pro-Russian views under the radar. Oh, sorry, I had one more. So the last case is from Moldova. October, November 24, the presidential election and EU membership referendum. Under this election, Russia ramped up disinformation efforts massively, combining covert and overt channels. They used the infrastructure that was previously already deployed against Ukraine and deployed a network of local media outlets. And their objective was to disrupt the democratic campaign and sow confusion during these political events, especially the referendum and election. They were discrediting President Sandu, that is EU-minded, supportive of cooperating with EU. And they wanted to portray the EU integration as destabilizing and threatening to Moldova's sovereignty, especially for the Russian-speaking communities, again, aligning with this Russian world idea that the Russian-speaking communities need to be protected. They used dual approach, using both official Russian state media and hidden networks. They set up websites that looked Moldovan but spread Kremlin narratives. And they mixed fake documents, AI-generated materials, and false fact checks to look credible. They also offered small payments via Telegram to get people to share anti-EU posts. So these were the cases that we included in our training. If you want to read more about them, you can always go to our training and subscribe for it. So a short overview. These tactics that were used, they include fake media outlets and website cloning, bot networks, hacking, hidden financing, funding propaganda outlets, and even paying for spies. They also included local targeting, adapting messages to languages and cultures, and sensitive local political issues. There was manipulative content, fake documents, AI text, misleading videos, and so on, and paid sharing, and constant adaptation of all these tools and tactics. So one of the main goals for our project Immune to Infodemic has been to inform people about how they can protect themselves. So some of the basic defenses that we have included in our training include just pausing and verifying, and not trusting emotionally charged content, especially with the amount of disinformation created with AI and amplified by bot networks and so on. There is a lot of disinformation going on, and it would be really difficult to check everything. But for these messages to be already a bit aware, it helps already to be aware that the content might be manipulative. So stopping and not going. So stopping when it's emotionally triggering, that's knowing that it's a warning sign, and checking multiple sources, of course, especially official EU sites and sites of fact checkers. Also avoiding sharing until we are confident that the content is accurate and factual. And we have a set of tools that can be useful for media literacy and digital literacy. So because disinformation has a lot to do with overloading us with and confusing us. So like Fatih was also talking, it's often the main goal is not to convince us of the Russian narrative. Sometimes it is to convince of that at least the communities, the Russian-speaking communities, that they need to be defended and Russia is on their side. But often it is also just to confuse. So here are some easy things to start checking or thinking critically. So reading carefully and being aware of potential malicious intent, like I mentioned in the beginning. A lot of people that that answered to our survey were not aware of this, so it's something good to keep in mind, at least, that it could be, the content could be manipulative purposefully. Paying attention to alerting signs, like if the message is strongly emotional. When we see this, it's always an option to unsubscribe and report those messages. Remembering that fear and hatred towards others will help Russia to polarize us. This was mentioned earlier, so the goal could just be to turn us against each other instead of solving problems together. Again, it is important to select carefully which news we follow, hopefully not too black and white, not too one-sided, but avoiding content or sources that clearly regularly post things that are not accurate or that have some clear political motive. And it is also the amount of disinformation could have the impact that we disconnect from news and that we don't talk about things anymore. So we get less engaged, but it is still important to form our opinions, talk about it. If we don't want to be in an online space, we can do it offline with people in real life. But the important thing is to still keep talking and staying active and not passivating and not what is the word for this? Not pulling away from the society because we are so confused and we don't know what is true and what is not. We still have right to our opinions. We still can form them, and we just need to find the right forum for us to do that. And if the online spaces where we are so polluted that it's impossible to do it there, maybe we can find some other groups where we can do it. So here a short presentation of the tools that we have. We created these cards to boost immunity. So if you feel that you are confident yourself to fact check and you know how to go on with media, it can be a short fresh up anyway to go through this. And if you know somebody who is maybe not so comfortable, these are really easy to use. So we have made them so that it's possible to use them even in high schools or with students or with elderly people. We did workshops with different target groups with this. So if you know somebody, a family member, your children, somebody who is not completely familiar with this topic, it might be a good idea to go together through these materials and see what they think of this information. So you find these materials on our website, immunetoinfodemic.eu. There is a link to our e-learning platform, Horizon Academy, and you find all 9 courses there. So we have critical thinking, media literacy, and digital literacy, and then 6 different modules, of which FIMI is one of. So I want to thank you for your attention. And if you have some questions, then we can take those either for Fatih or for myself. Yes, I can see that there is. I will allow your camera and your mic. So Bas, please go ahead.
Yes, Akin.
Akin, sorry.
First of all, I would like to thank you for your fruitful presentation and explanation. It was very, very, I think, interesting for my side. My question, maybe both of you, you can choose who will answer my question. So, as in the light of your explanation, so we can easily, I think, define the new battlefield like a digital one, like cybersecurity one, ideological one, with disinformation. So do you think that the governments or international organization or institution and the society are ready for that new digital threat or the new digital warfare? What do you think about it? Thank you.
Fatih, do you want to answer to this one?
Yes, so it's a bit difficult to answer. Thanks for the question. So we see at the EU level different initiatives. One of them was a European Democracy Shield, so just initiated end of last year, focusing on elections interferences, so increasing citizens' resilience, and also technology. So cyber security is also one of them. So of course we see we need different regulations, especially regulating social media platforms, LOPs, so very, very large online platforms. I think EU is on the four of these regulating bodies, as we see. But of course, it's really evolving quickly. Technology, AI, and for big bodies, governments taking action against this level of quick change, adapting this is very, very difficult because it's evolving really quickly. So each week we see new different technology developments. Is it ready? So is the EU or the national level countries ready for this? I think we are still quite behind where we expect to be, but I'm optimistic. So we are within these projects in contact with the EU at least, or some national authorities. So very much interested in what we are doing, trying to adapt themselves, learning from the field experience. And by doing these projects and getting the getting the feedback from the field. So we try to share this with these authorities. Yeah, we are lagging. They are lagging behind. So I'm sure. So we all see that. But I'm optimistic for the upcoming features. I can say, maybe, I don't know, Elina, if you would like to add something, let's go ahead.
Yes, so we also discussed this last week in Brussels in the event that we organized, and Saman Nasari, who was as an expert for FIMI there, he also mentioned that there was a discussion about how far citizen resilience can take us, and we can only do so much as citizens, and there are other things like it cannot be only citizens' responsibility to protect themselves. So definitely there should be more action to be taken by others as well, by governments and by platforms. And like someone was mentioning that it is possible for platforms to recognize this inauthentic behavior. So they can see how the bots respond and how this information flows. And it is possible to block those users quite quickly and easily. And it doesn't mean censoring the content. So that we should, technically, we are able to do much more than we are doing now to protect citizens. But it's more a question of regulation, making it mandatory for the platforms, and also the will on their side to do that. And there was also the point made that as long as they benefit financially from it, it's really difficult to do something about it. So if possible, I don't know how we can do it, but it could help if there was no financial gain from keeping users on the platforms with fake news. I hope that that answers to your question.
Yeah. That's more than enough for me. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? If not, then I thank you all for your presence. Thank you for being here, and we will share the recording afterwards with you all. So I hope you have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you for your time and listening.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.